Okay, let's pull up the file. We're diving into a cold case today, one that's pulled from the really deep, dark archives of the internet. And this story, wow, it's so strange. It sits on this razor's edge between some kind of elaborate fiction and a truly terrifying reality. This is the Lake City Quiet Pills mystery.
Story. Once upon a time, you see, a Reddit post wasn't just a post. It was a contract. We're talking about a digital ghost, an account that went by the name Religion of Peace. And this ghost, it left a trail that leads all the way from an obscure message board to a hotel room in Dubai. So yeah, level up everyone.
And let me be crystal clear right from the jump. This isn't a creepypasta. We're not talking about some spooky internet folklore here. The evidence, what little we have, suggests we could be looking at a genuine operational leak. Think about that. A massive failure of security that, just for a moment, peeled back the curtain on a world none of us were ever supposed to see. So, who is at the center of all this? The subject of our investigation is a single Reddit account, an account that has since been completely, and I mean completely, wiped from existence. The user was known only by the handle Religion of Peace.
All right, Section 1, the digital ghost. Let's get into the initial analysis of this account and what it left behind.
So what did our initial sweep turn up? First, the account posted these really cryptic job listings. I mean, they didn't sound like your typical corporate recruitment. No, this was more like a call to arms. Second, the language was full of high-level, very specific military jargon, the kind of stuff your average person just wouldn't know. Then there were the strange geographic coordinates being shared, and here's the kicker. Researchers actually linked this activity to a real-world private military contractor. And then, poof, just as suddenly as it appeared, the account was gone, vanished.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we have to understand the environment. Let's move on to the digital crime scene itself.
You know, the platform here is key. It's Reddit. And we can't just look at it as some simple forum. No, you have to think of early Reddit as this massive searchable archive of anonymous confessions. It's a place where people, hidden behind a username, might just let the truth slip out, the real truth.
And this is where we get to the core of the code, the term itself, Lake City Quiet Pills. Now, from a tactical standpoint, this isn't just some random quirky phrase. Quiet pills is well-known military slang for bullets. So the analysis is clear. These posts weren't just mundane chatter. They were almost certainly a form of encrypted communication, hiding right there in plain sight.
So how is this thing set up? It was brilliant in its simplicity. Step 1, you create a totally mundane-looking subreddit. The moderator? Oh, just some user claiming to be an elderly veteran. It's the perfect cover story, right? Step 2, you hide a link in there, a link to a back-end image hosting site. Looks totally standard. But Step 3, that's the whole shebang. That site wasn't for hosting images. It was a private, encrypted message board, and the theory goes it was for a team of assassins.
Now this next part, this is where things get really chilling. We're talking about the Dubai connection. This is where the digital shadows seem to cross right over into the real world.
Let's just look at the timeline, just the facts. On January 19, 2010, a post goes up on that private message board. It talks about a notice of a job well done regarding a, quote, party in Dubai. Okay, now on that exact same day, Mahmoud al-Mabouh, a senior Hamas commander, is assassinated in a hotel room in Dubai. The timing, I mean, you can call it a coincidence, but it is remarkable.
So, obviously, the theory is pretty straightforward. There's a direct causal link between that post and the real-world assassination. But in any good analysis, you have to look at the critique. And the skeptics, they call this a heroic failure of a theory. They say it's just a classic case of pattern seeking, our brains desperately trying to connect dots that aren't there. Just a wild coincidence, nothing more.
And this brings us right to the heart of the matter, the central dilemma of this whole case. Was it a hoax or a real operation? This is what we call the regime of ambiguity.
Okay, so basically it boils down to two competing theories. On one hand, you have theory number 1. It was all an alternate reality game, an ARG. You know, just a super elaborate, brilliantly designed prank to mess with internet sleuths. Or you have theory number 2. It was exactly what it looked like on the tin, a real recruitment and communications hub for a private military contractor using some kind of unlisted cryptography to hide right out in the open.
But let's stick with the prank theory for a second. If this was just a game, you have to think about the sheer scale of it all. The logistics, the effort. I mean, this ran for years. It had an international scope. Some analysts have crunched the numbers, and they estimate that to pull this off as a prank, you'd be looking at a $10 million effort. $10 million. That is one heck of an expensive joke.
And that brings us to the end of the file, or at least the end of the evidence. Let's talk about the unrecoverable truth and why these digital ghosts just won't go away.
Here's the problem, and it's a big one. When internet investigators started getting too close to the truth, the site wasn't just taken down. No, it was professionally scrubbed, wiped clean from existence. We're talking about a digital event on the scale of the GeoCities wipe back in 2009. A whole decade of potential evidence just vaporized. All we have left to analyze are corrupted bits and pieces, a few screenshots. It's like being a digital archaeologist trying to rebuild a city from a handful of broken pots.
So that's where we are. We're left with this final, probably unanswerable question. What was this? An incredibly dedicated, expensive hoax? A truly groundbreaking ARG? Or was it a genuine, chilling operational leak from the shadow world of private mercenaries? The truth? Well, it's buried under layers and layers of deleted code.
If you take one thing away from this whole file, let it be this. The cloud, this digital world we all live in, it's a fragile facade. And behind that facade, you can be sure that hidden structures of power are constantly at work, often in ways we can barely even begin to comprehend. Because here's the thing, even when the evidence gets wiped, the ghosts, they remain. The truth might be unrecoverable, but the questions, they linger. And we're going to keep digging for those ghosts they tried so hard to delete. Thanks for joining us.